Hey guys, it's Denise from LoomaHat.com and welcome back to another project. This is one of my favorites. It's the super cute tiny dolls. Let's cast on. Secure your yarn however works best for you, and then we're going to wrap every other peg. Stop at peg 12, turn the yarn in the other direction, and the loops that are on the pegs, push them down to make room for the working yarn, which you are going to loosely place over the remaining 11 pegs. Knit off only the pegs with 2 loops. You finished your first cast on. Now, let's continue. You're gonna knit 15 rows of the U-wrap knit stitch. After you're done knitting the 15 rows, cut the yarn. And even though I should have done this like way back after 2 or 3 rows, remember to remove the yarn from the anchor peg. Now you'll repeat the whole process on the other side. Now, heads up, this is very important. When you reach row 15, you will not knit peg 12 and you will not cut the working yarn. Now you want to connect the first one that you knit with the one you just finished. Bring the cut yarn over to that last peg and knit off. Now take that end and you're going to make a knot with the 2 sides. Heads up, this is very important. You will no longer be knitting flat. You're now knitting in the round, so no back and forth, just around the loom. Now it's time to make his little head, so you're going to change the color of your yarn and you're going to need to knit 20 rows. Cut the working yarn. Place one strand of the working yarn over the other one and then twist. Bring it as close to the peg as you can and make a knot. Very simple knot will do. And then just to make sure it's secure, you can make a second knot. Now you're ready to start knitting the next 20 rows, and remember that you're using the U-wrap version of the knit stitch. After you're finished with the 20 rows of knitting, we're going to go straight into my version of the flat drawstring cast off. Wrap the working yarn around the whole loom. Cut your yarn. Feed the working yarn through every other loop. Now feed the working yarn through the loop on peg 1 again. Remove only those loops. Get another strand of your working yarn and you're going to wrap it around the loom. Cut the excess yarn. Feed the working yarn through the remaining loops. Remove those loops off the pegs. Pull the strings a little at a time. Turn the fabric inside out. Now you're going to finish pulling the strings, and this doesn't have to be done on the reverse side. You can always turn your work around, and you can do this on the front side of the fabric and tie the knot. And you'll see that if you're going to put a pom-pom, this will actually work well to do it on the right side. And there you have it, a nice neat flat top for your head and for your hats. At this point, you want to go ahead and stretch the stitches, and we're going to get ready to pull the strings. This is your cast on strings, and you're going to pull them in order to close up those edges and form the little feet. Let's get ready to stuff. Grab the yarn on one side of your project and thread a needle. You're gonna then sew that section from the bottom up. Let's make a separation between the body and the head, and we do that with a strand of working yarn that we tie really tight. Make a knot, and in fact you can do this a few times to make it look its best. Just like with the head, we're going to tie some knots in the leg area to make a separation and give you that impression of little feet that are separate from the legs. For the arms, you're going to drawstring cast on 10 pegs and knit 11 rows. Once you're done knitting your 11 rows, you're going to take the loop off of peg 1 and place it on peg 2 and knit off. Remove the loop from peg 10 and place it on peg 9 and knit off. With your working yarn, measure out the length of 8 pegs and cut it. Feed the yarn through every loop. remove the loops. Stretch the stitches and then pull on that cast on string and it'll form your arms. Thread the needle with your working yarn and then sew the arm right below the head, which would be like the shoulder section. I don't want my arms to flap around a lot, so I will sew them down so that they stay flat against the body, but you don't need to do that. Turn the arm around and we're going now to sew the inside, and you can do this before you attach the arm. I just find it easier to do once I have the arm situated and I know it's not going to move anywhere. And like the head and the feet, we're going to create some separation here between the arm and the doll's hand. Repeat the process for the other arm. Let's add the eyes and the nose, and you're going to need some embroidery floss for the eyes and matching yarn for the nose. To make the eyes, I basically take the embroidery floss and I wrap a stitch 3 or 4 times. When I'm done with the eyes, I take the needle and I push it to the other side, and if you pull on the floss a little bit before you cut it, it'll just kind of like snap back and you won't see it. Using yarn that matches the face, you're going to make the nose in the same way that you made the eyes. You're going to wrap a stitch a few times. This time you're going to use 2 of them, 2 stitches, and you're going to wrap those 2 stitches again, 3 or 4 times depending on how much definition you want for the nose. Alright, let's make the hat. Drawstring cast on all your pegs, and then we're going to knit 20 rows. Alright, by now you guys are experts on the drawstring cast on. When you finish the cast on, you're going to knit 20 rows. Well, it's time for the flat drawstring cast on again. Alright, we're going to put blush on the little doll, and we do this with just any regular blush and an applicator. You're going to put a little bit on each side, and believe it or not, it's not going to come off, so a little dab will do. That's it. We're done.